Okay. Start the recording. I'll start the webinar here. All right. We're now live so people can start joining.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. And I'm just gonna, so we're gonna actually start in about 5 minutes. I just opened this because I also have to put it on Facebook before we go and people can join. All right. Everybody's starting to come in.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Getting started in about 3 minutes. Also putting it on Facebook now. All right. For everybody who's just joining in, starting in a couple of minutes. We just opened it so people can start joining us.
Kata.
Yep.
I don't think I'll be able to record this time. So if you want to record.
Cool. Yeah, I'm recording.
Cool. Just wanted to be sure. Hi, everyone.
All right. Okay.
Halloween is just around the corner, Kata.
Yep. I don't think we're gonna be doing anything this year with the.
Yeah, that's what we've been thinking. Big question mark. We haven't had any cases in this area, in our neighborhood, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of everything else is doing.
Yeah. The kids are going to remember this. Our kids, at least the younger ones, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
I'm
going to
definitely gonna remember this.
be.
But yeah, I didn't have anything like this in my childhood, and I'm glad that's the case.
I remember the first webinar we did a few months back. It was just what, a month into COVID for us.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was still very upbeat. And it's like it's great to work from home. I get to spend time with the kids.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no.
I looked through my phone through photos, and when I got back to when it was like full on quarantine after 30 days,
Yeah,
we just looked very different. 30
it's,
days of quarantine changes the way you look.
yeah. Longer hair, at least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit rounder on the edges. Good thing I'm wearing black today.
All right. So we're gonna start off easy. We're live on Facebook now too. And I'm just gonna start with a brief introduction just to give more people a chance to join in if they're a little bit late. And then we'll dive in and actually talk about the editing tools and all that. So first question for everybody who joined in already. If you can, anybody can just let us know if you can hear us and see us all right. That'll be very good to have a confirmation for. And I'll be looking on Facebook as well. Thank you, Gail. Just wondering how I can minimize my screen so I can view. So just double click it. If it's full screen, double click it. And if you don't have it in full screen, you should have somewhere on the right that minimize button. At least that's on my Windows. That's how it works on Windows. Everything fine. I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thanks for all the confirmations. Hello. Hi, Judy from Nevada. Very different time zone.
Very much.
All right. Um, all right, so we'll get started. So just very quickly, what we're going to be doing in this webinar is Jason here, who also joined us for our previous webinar, which is also our first ever webinar for Ribbet. Jason is on the product team for Ribbet, but he's really into design. I mean, he's on the product team, but I know him well enough to know that he's pretty good at design. He does quite a bit of it on using various tools. It's true. And
Eh,
he's basically the person who's going to be showing us around and talking about some of the pro tools this time. And feel free at any point if you have any questions about either what we're doing or some tools that you'd like to for us to discuss. We'll do our best to talk about them, the ones that we can. It's a bit difficult sometimes to because when you talk about a tool, you also have to explain it. So if we can't really explain it, then maybe we'll still take your questions and your ideas and consider them for a follow-up webinar.
yes.
And at the end of this one, we're also going to be announcing the details, how to participate in our Halloween contest, the prize, the rules, etc. People who have been with Ribbet for more than a year know that every year we have a Halloween contest. In short, the way that works is, um, you'll basically create some crazy image, Halloween themed, using Ribbit and send it to us on Facebook or on Instagram, and that's how you enter into the contest. Um, all right, so let's just get started. I'll let Jason go ahead, and he's already sharing the screen, and talk about some of the premium tools and apply some of them in a Halloweeny setting.
Hi, guys. So it's just a quick bit. Very long time ago when Photoshop first came out, obviously when I started tackling with Photoshop, I felt it was a great, wonderful tool. And one of those tools that was very good to use at that time and still is, that was a very good tool, is cloning and some of the other features like burning, dodging, and manipulating the light source or any shadows that you have in your picture. So what I'm thinking is for this webinar, I'm going to focus on those points for the pros. There's some other features I can kind of showcase a bit for pro. I'm going to focus on those 2 or 3 items. So we have some time. I'll go over quickly on some of the other ones. So for cloning, in terms of the feature itself, it's very practical, especially if you want to prep your images and you want to just get rid of a couple of things in your photo, like a fly or a car or a full person entirely. You just want to remove that person because he's your ex. It can't be done with cloning. So I'm just going to jump into a photo that I picked. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So this is a picture of a park, and I just want to show how far you can go with the cloning feature with Ribbet. So the idea is, let's say that's me and that's my wife, and I'm right in this picture, and it's a beautiful picture. There's a sunset, the lighting is good. I don't think there's anything we have to do in terms of brightness or darkness here. The colors are great. The sunset is great. But all these people, let's say I want to erase them. You can. So the first thing is, as a pro feature, is you do have options, which is basically the brush size, how big you want the brush, how much of a stroke that you want to apply as you're removing or cloning over a certain aspect. Brush hardness, it's kind of like a feather. It's essentially how hard do you want that cloning to be apparent, as in terms of the edges of your brush. So if you just want a softer approach, which usually with cloning, that's what you want to do, especially with a photography like this. Usually you want to keep the brush hardness to a lower minimum. Right now it's at its lowest, which is 0%. You also have the option for eraser. So if you do apply a clone and you just want to erase part of it, it does the opposite. You can just enable the eraser and then just erase the little bits that you have. So you can make mistakes, and you can actually either go back which is kind of undo what you've done, or if you just want to make a little tweak to a broad stroke, you can. And for the fade is how strong overall for all what you've applied to the picture. So we'll use this as a reference for before and after. Right now it's at 0%. That means whatever effect I'm going to place with the cloning, it will be apparent. So I don't think we have the time to sit here and look over the whole picture and actually make those edits. So I'm just going to focus on this space here, right here. So I can see that I have a lot of people. I have a head that's protruding from this road. I have some hair effect with the lighting. And let's say, just for the sake of it, I want to keep this person. I need to be able to kind of make sure I remove around this edge, around this person, where this is all gone in green pastures, but we're not going to get a sense from this part here that something has been cut out. So we want to keep that lightness, kind of like that wonderful little sunset brightness that's hitting the sunset light that's basically coming from the picture. We want to make sure we keep it intact. So you can see that my brush right now, it's medium size. What the first thing you want to do for cloning is you have to use a reference that you can use as the cloning itself. So for example, if I use the road, obviously I'm using the road to actually make the road longer, or so on. Right now, when you do cloning, what you want to do is, in most times, is stay close to using a reference that's close to where you want to erase or remove. So for example, you have this green here, but you can see there's not much details. If I were to try to grab grass from this area and say, this is beautiful grass, I want to apply it over there, you're going to have a harder time, and it's going to be more difficult to apply this. And even then, people do get a sense of perspective, not perspective, but depth. So if they see the single blades of grass with different colors in it, you can see there's a bit of brown and yellow and green, and you can see very distinct details. And you try to apply it further into the picture, they're going to pick up on that. So you got to keep that in mind, that as you're using the tool, what do you feel will be reasonable, that people will understand that you're tricking them in the end. So I only have this little green piece of patch that I can say, yes, I can use this, and I can apply it. It has the lighting, it's got the color tone from the picture. So what I'm going to do, oopsie daisy, I'm just going to make the brush a bit smaller. At the beginning, for this part, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, now what I have is a crosshair, and this crosshair is essentially what I'm going to determine that I want to clone to wherever I want to go. So there's an option here where you can actually just select the source. You click on your mouse, and then you can see that I've picked that green part, and the circle, the white outline circle, is what I'm going to actually paint with. So there you go. And you can see that I'm carefully erasing this person out of existence. Now, because it's a bit tight, I'm going to do this often, where I'm going to move the crosshair, bring it closer to the part that I do want to erase, just because I don't have a lot to work with just yet. So at the beginning, you have to be a bit patient. And I'll move the crosshair here again, and I'll erase it. You want to keep it close. So far, you don't need to worry about anything else. Just what you want to do is just get that person out. Oops, little mistake. Put it back there. There you go. Okay. And see, I got too close. So when you have the crosshair and the outline very close by, you can see that it becomes a bit of a tricky situation, but that's fine. We can make mistakes, or at least I can. Okay, now I got a bit more space just so we can move a little bit quicker. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to set the crosshair here. And if you're wondering how, all you have to do is either you're on a Mac. If you're on a Mac, you can press Command and select. There you go. Or you can press Control on your PC. So I'm just going to erase. So at this point, I'm not trying to be perfect. I just need a little bit more room to do this. So I'm just going to move quicker. You can see there's some mistakes here. That's fine. We'll get to that. Now, where I want to be careful is I don't want to lose that light that's in that hair here. So I'm going to make the brush a bit smaller, not too small. Make sure, again, you can see the brush hardness is at 0. I don't want to be hard on the strokes. I just want to be able to get as close as I can here. Now, the trick here is you can erase a bit of the lighting, but you don't go all the way. What you want to make sure is that you lose that shadow or that dark part, because people will pick up on that very quickly. It'll look like a cutout. So I just want to be very gentle around here. I'm going to get a little bit closer, and then I can just click, as in I don't hold my mouse down and just go. Sometimes I just kind of click and slowly erase. Usually the tools are there to help you do the work faster. So you got to use your intuition as well to say, all right, how do I make this believable? How do I trick the person that's going to look at my image? And the cloning tool is a wonderful tool. You're going to be able to do a lot of things. I know that we had someone a couple of weeks back that was showing some examples on our, was it on Ribbet Corner or
Ribbet
the
Ed,
other?
I think. Ribbet Ed,
Yeah, she did a really good job. I was like, I was trying to figure out how she did it as well. All right, so it's still apparent, but you can see I've got those people out of the way. And just to give you a sense so far, I'm going to fade. And you can see those people are there, and then I've removed them. So here I'm just going to clean this up now. Like I have this dark spot here. I'm going to just cover it. Okay, and the trick is to keep it random. Yeah, you have to try to avoid any regular pattern, kind of like right here. I don't think this is going to work out, so I'm just going to go back, make the brush size a little bit bigger. That's too big.
To answer Gail real quick, Gail says, I take photos of my real estate listing, so this seems like a way to get rid of electric wires, for example.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a great way to use it.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the thing about cloning is you don't want to use it just for the sake of using it. You use it for what's practical in the end. Usually fine touches make a huge difference compared to trying to make your life more complicated by trying to do too much, trying to erase too much. So I just want to try something here. There you go. So there was a bit of rough, you could see a bit of some irregularity. So what I usually do as well is bring the brush size a bit bigger, and then be very careful. Like this, I think people will notice. But you just try to keep it as, yeah, that's okay. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I don't think I have much time here. So we're going to do this part because where the grass is here, you can see it's a little bit different from here. So I'm going to jump on this part. All right, so I'm just going to go a little bit smaller again. I want to be more precise. I'm just going to erase these parts. All right, let me go a little bit quicker.
I think that's one of the things that I lack in terms of being good at design, I guess, or image editing, is the patience. Patience to get all those little details right.
When they say it's practice, it is what it is, you know. And obviously I'm not used to these webinars, so I had a quick look at some webinars about about cloning, and it turns out that as I was doing on Ribbet, I was listening to him, and he was doing exactly what I was doing, and he was thinking the same way I was. So for me, it was more of a validation that it's practice in the end. I mean, I had to figure out Photoshop by my own, and it took a while. But most of the time, it's just a question of just playing around and making sure you stay subtle.
Yeah.
So you can see here, yeah, in a picture, the blades, the brass become less defined as you go. And you can see, you're going to be able to pick up on this very quickly that something's off here, yeah? Because there's not a transition between both. So what I'm going to do is make a big brush size. As the brush size is bigger and my brush hardness is at 0, I'm not asking the tool to be very precise. I just want to have kind of like a blend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this texture down here, and it's too close. One sec. All right, and I'm going to move it a little bit lower, and then it's a bit tricky. There you go. And then I'm going to do it a little bit bigger. No, too big. I'm going to go right here, and I'm just going to, no! And then I'll just move upwards again, just a little bit smaller here. Yeah, and just make sure you stay within the area that you want to copy, or you can copy. And then you just, the trick is be random, yeah, subtle and random, because if it's random, people don't know what's going on. And then, see? It could be a little bit better, but there is basically I'm using the clone tool to kind of fade the details into the green and the more detailed grass, and you can see the difference as well. So we had people, and now they're gone. Where I'm not happy with it is up here on the road here. I would spend a little bit more time on it. Yeah, but if we focus on the lady with the blonde hair here, for me, I don't see that she's, something has been cut out at all. So I've kept the lighting on this, and I've made sure that the green and the light actually hit together. How much time do I have for this kata?
Well, we're 20 minutes in, so you've got plenty of time.
Let me finish this one here, because this is the trickiest part when it comes to using cloning is hair. Because hair actually does have light reflection depending on where the light source is. And I can see this as a challenge for anyone to go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because it's kind of a blurred detail here. So again, a couple tricks. You get as close as you can without trying to go over this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to put my cloning right there, and I'm just going to slowly go around it. I'm not going to go over that hair too much. Just want to make sure that, there you go, this part is done. So keep that in mind. Always try to use a sword, because it does actually make things a little bit easier. So here I'm going to go with a brush size a little bit smaller. And the trick is, don't worry about taking a little bit off. You would rather take a little bit off. Might as well trim the hair a little bit than keeping some of the textures that you want to get rid of. So for me, I want to make sure that, I'll zoom in. You can see there's a little bit of blue. If you guys can see it, there's a little bit of blue, but there's no blue in the green. I want to make sure those are gone. That's the trick. Okay. I'm going to zoom out. That's not bad. I'm not happy with the roads. You can see here, it feels like it's very clear that, There isn't much fading that you would find in the picture. Like it's very straight. So let me see if I can do this very quickly so I can show you guys. It's too defined. You can see someone went over it. So I'm just gonna oopsie. Nope, doesn't work. Closer. See if it's better. That's a little bit better. But there you go.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I really like that you can do this fading in and out. I think that's a really good one because you can just see the
yeah,
difference all the time. I really like that it has that.
you could remove all these people if you wanted to, if you're
Yeah.
patient, because let's say for the people in the back, the beauty part is that it's mostly, faded. So it's not highly detailed, but you can grab the dark green here and just make sure that the shadows that you're going to place here kind of fit with the trees. But you have enough reference to kind of erase these people. And for all these people, you have references of grass here. Just don't use the shadow parts. You have this that's good enough that you can go all the way. And then over here, that could be the trickiest part, but still you have all this grass reference that you can apply randomly. And just keep in mind where the details are. Details are closer to the edge of the picture, but then as it goes into it, you can see that it's less defined. I would say removing all these people could probably take about an hour and a half if you wanted to badly. That's why for removing specific items for real estate or photography or for e-commerce, for example, you're not probably going to spend this much time. You're probably going to want to remove a price tag or a cord or a blemish. You'll be able to do that very easily. So I'd say for the cloning for today, that's good.
Yep, that's great. That makes sense. If you guys have any other questions about the cloning tool, let us know. But otherwise, we can move on to the next tool.
I can show the eraser, which is just voila, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave this picture. I'm gonna cancel it. I'm not gonna keep it. The other features for Pro that I definitely want to show you guys. No, I don't want to keep it this one. Usually when we talk about photo touches, the idea is that you want to make changes or modifications to the picture by using the light source or the darkness from your picture. And dodging and burning allows you to do this in a very precise way. So for example, if I do want to make something darker, there are options where you can just play with the whole picture, which is kind of apply higher saturation or higher brightness or contrast. And you can see here for the Pro Adjust. For me, they're they're kind of reference to dodging and burning, which is for the Pro Adjust, I can, for the whole picture, kind of adjust the highlights. And what I mean by highlights is the lighting source, or at least the light that does or is in the picture. So you can see as I'm kind of increasing the highlights, you can see that the light source will become brighter and whiter, let's say. So you can look at the top of the picture over here. You have the windows, it's in daytime. You can see that as I press the highlight, the light source will get brighter in those sections. For shadows, anywhere where there's a little bit of a darker aspect to the picture, for shadows, you can see that I am applying a darker tone to the picture. So there is in the whole picture some lightness and darkness, and there's a mid-tone to this, which is the gray. So all it does is for the highlights and the shadows, it's going to accentuate either the bright parts or the dark spots. So in this one, you can see I'm just using the highlight to bring it as high as possible. This is not what I want to do. I don't want to bring it to that extent. For shadows, it's the same thing. So let's say, one sec. Let's say if I want to, for whatever reason, I want to make the hat brighter. I'm going to bring it as high opacity. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. And then I'm going to bring it to the 100%. There is a great feature in Ribbet on Pro, which is I can apply the highlight for the whole picture, and then I can decide with my brush to erase that effect. Yeah, so I can decide to just go back to the original brightness of the background picture, and I can decide to make the hat brighter.
I have to say, this is definitely my favorite features, one of my favorite things, because it's like most of the times, if you're editing an image like your face, most of
Yeah,
the things that you want to bring out are on the main subject of the image, like the face or something.
yeah,
And the problem with so many tools is that, you apply highlights, but it applies it to the whole image. So if you have something in the background
yeah.
that's, like a light bulb or something, it adds the highlight to that and makes the whole image look like it has been, very edited. So just being able to select specific items that you want to edit, I think is really, really great.
Yeah, and this effect, I think it's applied not just for the Pro section, but the actual brush effect is a Pro feature for saturation or other types of features, even effects that we have within within Ribbet. So
Yeah.
it's a great tool. I don't think this is a great example in terms of saying that I want to make that hat brighter. But yes, if you do have, let's say, what I like about this is that I can apply a very specific type of effect, put it over the picture, and then I can determine which part of the picture I want to keep that. So for example, for the shadows, again, you have 0 to 100. Going into 100 most times is not going to be great. But let's say I want to make the dog a little bit darker. Great. Yeah. So I want to make him look sadder. Let's say it's like, oh, he's under the shadows. It's I don't know. It's raining outside. Yeah. So I can make the whole face a bit darker, and it minimizes the effort I have to put in.
Yeah. Somebody's asking, I'm working on iPad without exterior keyboard, no mouse, tiny menu font. Is it possible to work with these limitations? And the question is actually, I think, from when we just wrapped up the clone tool. So I think specifically about the clone tool, if this is usable on an iPad without an external keyboard or mouse.
So right now with the iPad, you are, if I remember correctly, and just the reason why I don't know is because we are working on some new updates. If I remember correctly, the pencil is usable. So if you actually have an iPad pencil, you'll be able to use that pencil to apply the effects in terms of the brush or the cloning. If not, it's definitely going to be with your hand or your finger. So you'll be able to do that. Obviously, with the finger on an iPad or a tablet, it's not going to be as precise. But I'm pretty sure we can check as well, just to be 100% sure. I remember using the pencil for the iPad. So definitely for people using iPads, Ribbet will allow you to do this,
Yeah.
especially for the new one that we're working on.
And I guess it helps if you have like a high res image, because then you can just zoom in a lot. So even though you're doing it with your finger, you can be, if you're zooming in a lot on the photo, it's a little bit more precise.
Yes, I would say that the experience, or at least to be able to, let's say, professionally make edits to your pictures, it is not just for Ribbet, for other software, using your desktop with a mouse or a trackpad or like a Wacom, you're going to be able to get way more finer details to get very specific. So yes, with higher resolution photos, you can be more precise, but I think you're going to spend more time. So for, let's say, mobile devices, smartphone, very useful. But there are some limitations on smartphone, not in terms of Ribbet, but in terms of the actual functionality of a smartphone with a very small screen. But for iPad, you do have the pencil. I know a lot of artists that actually use iPad as their main tool, their main device to actually do their work. So there are some limitations based on using your finger instead of a pencil, a mouse, or basically a Wacom, for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And somebody else is also asking, how do you switch to Pro for these adjustments, Judy? If you've never had Pro, you can also upgrade to just go to your account on Upgrade, and you can start a free trial to try them for free for 14 days currently. And I think that you can, even if you don't have, oh, okay, you have Pro. Perfect. So I think then maybe you're asking just where to find them. So on desktop, they're under, can you take your mouse over? Okay. So
Yeah,
see where he has his mouse on the left over there? Jason has his mouse.
yeah,
Under the Pro bar, if you click on that, and then you click on Pro Adjust to expand it.
yeah,
And then after you expand it, you have those tweaks, and then below them you'll see the button to apply that
yeah.
the effect painting is what Jason was just using to select the areas where he wants to apply the effect.
Yeah, it's both on mobile, on desktop, and on browser. You're going to find it in the side menu, and it's going to be one of the second to last options that you have. Okay, so for ProJust, it's very great. I use this a lot, actually. I've used this for pictures for my family, for Facebook, even for some, I mostly do some designs, but I do use photo stock images for some of the websites or mobile apps that we work on. And I do use this very regularly. So for dodging and burning, so what you have to keep in mind again is what we're doing is essentially for dodging, what we're going to do is basically lighten the photo based on the lighting that we have in the photo itself. So for dodging, what you are looking at is something like ProJust, but more specific, as in for dodging, if I want to lighten a specific part of the photo, I have options here, which is highlights. Highlights is, like we've just mentioned 10 minutes ago, it's basically where your light source is or where it's actually lighter overall. So midtones is more of the gray scale between light and black, and shadows is the dark aspect. So here what you can do is, if I want to lighten up the shadows in my picture, so for example, you can see that the dog has a bit of shadow or shade because of the hat, and I want to lighten it up. I'm not going to select highlights, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the lighten feature to the light source. So what I want to do is select shadows, and I'm going to lighten up this part. I'm going to go in a little bit more just so you guys can see it. So all it's going to do is going to apply a lighten effect to where it's a bit darker. Yeah, and you can see right off the bat that it's not as dark. And I can keep applying and it'll get lighter. So you always have to be a bit careful about how much you apply, because if you go back, you can see the difference already. And I'm just going to go Control Z. You can see the difference. Yeah. So I'll do it again. So in this case, it would make sense to make this part lighter. But let's say, for example, this scarf, this black scarf. Okay, I just want to lighten it up a bit. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. So if I want to lighten the source in the background, I can do so as well. Just have to make sure that I'm selecting highlights. And then you can see, let me make the brush stroke a little bit bigger. You can see there is a difference overall. See? For the burning, it's the opposite. I want to darken certain parts of my picture. So for example, if I want the background, because it is lighter, I want to make it darker, I'm going to select highlights. And then I'll make the brush a little bit bigger. And now what I'm doing is I'm making it darker.
And
Control
also, I
P.
think this is a good note for people who are trying to experiment with new tools and everything, is that you'll notice there's that icon that Jason was going over before. It
Yeah,
also gives you
some
some
details.
yeah, about how the tool works, and like a tip on how to use them. So those are, if you're trying to figure out what new tools you can use, that's another way to kind
Yeah.
of get some ideas.
Let's say we do shadows. I want to make the shadow a little bit darker. So I go into burning. This is going to darken a specific region. I'm going to pick the shadows. You can see now that the shadow itself is more prominent. That would make a little bit more sense here to use this, because the hat is big, there's a light source, but let's say I just want to push on the shadow so it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more contrast, and let's say I apply it. I'm going to go back here. I want to brighten up the eyes. So we just look at the sad puppy face, poor doggy. And I'm going to lighten those up. There you go. Let me see if the midtones will help a bit. Yeah, there you go. See?
Yeah,
What do you think? Puppy eyes? Is he sad wearing that hat?
I think he's
No, I
hungry.
think he's confused. So those are the ones. In terms of, I think it's very practical to use. It's something you would use on a regular basis. You just want to tweak certain aspects of the picture in terms of manipulating shadows or making it brighter in certain areas. So you do have this hands-on with dodging and burning. Then you have the Pro Adjust. You have a lot more features. So just very quickly, like say, for example, contrast. Yeah, I want to go this far. So the hat is definitely a little bit more prominent. And then all I have to do is, yeah, the dog is too dark. So I'm going to erase the contrast on the dog. But now the hat is more prominent. So this is the sort of thing you can do. There's also sharpness. Usually sharpness, you want to use it so that you can accentuate the edges found in the picture. So when you, let's say, for example, you have a more, I wouldn't say completely blurred picture, but if your picture is a bit blurry, what I find is that sharpness actually helps kind of accentuate a little bit of the details by just increasing the edges found in the picture. See, if you look, I'll bring it over here just very quickly. Like the mesh here, yeah, you can see there's a lot of edges and contrast here. So let's say sharpness is at 0, and then I go in, and you're going to see a lot more details. Never go all the way. Just make sure you just tweak it just enough so that people are wondering how you did that. The trick is don't go too far. Just enough. You got to trick them to think, oh, wow, that person took a really nice picture. That's because they tweaked the sharpness and the contrast, and they played with this and that. That's how professionals do it. Do we have time to show them a couple more things?
Yes. Yep. And I would say also maybe quickly, if we can go in the, like, for people who want there's that seasonal tab that also has some Halloween stuff for people who just want to to use some stickers and things like that for Halloween.
Sure. So we have stickers. Very simple. Let me see. I know we have Halloween. Yes, we do. So we got a bunch of stuff here. You just have to do a quick check for Halloween because we got so much stuff in there. Let's say we take decorations. You know what? Let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's take Frankenstein. Yeah. So all you have to do is kind of browse on the left side, select what, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to take this one away. And you can pick, and then you can resize it, move it, and rotate it so it fits perfectly. Look at that. Poor dog. I feel bad for the dog. Look at that. Should I make it bigger or smaller? I think I'll make it smaller. I just wanted to cover his nose.
Yeah.
There you go. And let's
Uh, s-
see,
Somebody's asking, what is the difference between using the control versus the mouse? What are you, Jason, using for each?
both. Um, One of the tricks about being effective is that there's some hotkeys on any type of software. Um, it's you want to use both hands in the end, because you can use your cursor and all you're doing is you're technically kind of going to the interface and selecting things. There are certain hotkeys that is universal everywhere. I'm not sure about Ribbet particularly, but for example, on Ribbet, uh, what I'll do is I'll press Control Z on my keyboard, and what it does is it undoes my last action, and I can go back all the way. See? Instead of going on your cursor and specifically selecting the button on the screen. So all I'm doing is I'm using what's available on the keyboard to both use my cursor and my mouse to do one thing, but then to quickly use my other hand to do something else.
Yeah, that's something I've learned from 3D modeling is that hotkeys will save you hours at least. If you get really used to using hotkeys for everything, for all the stuff that you use often, it'll save you a ton of time.
I'm not sure for Ribbet how many hotkeys we have, but there is the basic one, at least from Control Z. On Macs, it's Command Z. There's a lot of software out there that you can have 20 or 30 different ones for the professionals. So I think, hold on, there's some basic one. Control Save. No, it
If
does.
you don't use no hotkeys, will this still work with the mouse and the undo? Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hotkeys are just there to be able to move a little bit more quickly. That's it.
Welcome. All right. So we're at 45 minutes already. I think I should mention the contest because I'm not sure exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to read everything to make sure that we get this right. So the contest, the way it always works every year is we make a post on Facebook, and this year we're also going to make the post on Instagram. And the rules are very simple. It's just create a design using Ribbet. Use any of the tools of the Halloween tools you see here, or the Pro tools that Jason mentioned earlier. You're gonna do something crazy like the clone tool. If you can clone somebody's eyes multiple times, give it a crazy look like that. Mess with the colors and the contrast and everything. So everybody just submits their photos, and then by the deadline, which is on, let's see here, November 14th, gives everybody plenty of time to work on it. We're going to select a main winner who will receive $500 in cash, and they'll be contacted on Facebook or Instagram, depending on where you've sent your photo, on how to receive it. And on top of the $500 prize for the best image, we're also giving away five prizes to the runners up of $100 each.
I'm gonna win.
And one of the nice things is, if you're not sure what to do, oh wow, that's really creepy. if if you're not sure which photo, if you have multiple ideas for photos that you want to create, that you want to submit, it's fine to submit multiple photos. So you can make as many submissions as you want, and we'll basically, if one of them is the winner, then we'll select that one. Obviously, you can't win three for the same person can't win three prizes, but you can make multiple submissions if you want. So just look out on our Facebook page for that post. And you're also going to be receiving an email with a link to those posts. And it's also going to be posted this year on Instagram, where you'll be able to share the photo just by using a hashtag, which again we'll send and mention in the post and the email.
There we go.
So we're always excited. We love seeing those entries every year. We tend to get quite a few, and they really are creative, and they look great, and they're a lot of fun. So we look forward to seeing the entries this year, and that's pretty much what it is for the contest. Jason, what were let me know if there's anything else you want to cover in the next 10 minutes, or if you have any other questions, now's the time to ask them. And after that, we're gonna wrap up.
Well, let's answer some questions as best as we can.
All right. So somebody's asking if we're gonna have a dedicated cutout tool um, anytime soon. What I can say currently is that we will be making an update, or we will be updating our users about a very exciting changes coming to Ribbit in the short term. So look out for that email, but we can't get into any details there. But we are working
Are
on
we
something.
getting the cutout feature? Kata.
Yes, so I can't answer that, but there are some changes coming soon, and we can't wait to announce them. All right. Is if we enter on Facebook, do we enter on Instagram as well? It's either or. It's choose whichever one you want. Like we said, you can enter multiple times in the contest if you want. So, feel free to make your submissions. We're gonna look through all of them. So we're gonna look at all of the entries that we get on Facebook and all of the ones that we get on Instagram. So it doesn't really matter where you submit it. It's really a preference. Some people don't really use Facebook anymore, and that's why we're also using Instagram. For most, I think that most entries are still going to be made on Facebook. So it's really just an option, but we're equally looking at both Instagram and Facebook.
So short answer is no. Just submit on either one.
Yeah. That's yeah. That's
It's okay. You're trying hard, Kata. No, you didn't have dinner. It's
I
what?
didn't have dinner. It's true. Yes,
It's quarter to
it's
nine.
it's it's late for us. I really can't wait to have dinner. All right. So if Gail loves Ribbit, thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback. Very
Thanks,
happy
Gail.
to hear. And it was great to see everybody again, and a lot of engagement as usual. Thank you guys. Let's see here. It also, somebody just asked now, let's get to this too before we end. It appeared that you can colorize portions of a B&W filter.
You can colorize what?
Portions of a B&W black and white filter. So in other words, I think that
Is the photo black and white already, or
if you apply a black and white filter, I think you can. The question is if you can.
with the pro feature you can. With the
Yeah.
pro account, yes, absolutely. What you can even with the brush effect, any type of effect that you apply in Ribbet. Let's say you take a picture and you apply, let's say, a black and white. Then you can use the brush effect with the pro account to erase the black and white effect onto your car. For sure, yes. It's a great feature. I love it.
Cool. All right. So, Jason, thanks for all the tips. Thanks for joining us again for the webinar. Thanks to everybody who participated, and you'll be receiving those updates soon about with all the details on the contest.
What are the details, Kata? What is it about?
So the details. So right. So just to reiterate, it's you can start making your submissions tomorrow until the 14th of November. The details, like we said, first prize is $500, and then the next 5 follow-ups, $100 each. And the winners will be announced on our Facebook page, and you can enter both on Facebook and Instagram. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you for the next one.
Cheers. Bye.